person.
You're good.
Well, good morning. Welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Fellowship of Pottstown. Welcome whether you are here and now, or there and then, bodily present or virtual. Whoever you are, wherever you are on your spiritual journey, you are welcome here. And I'm the Rev Kerry Mueller, co-minister here with the Rev Dave Hunter, who is our pianist today, for which I thank you. Are there announcements this morning?
We have an announcement online.
There's an announcement online.
CJ?
Hi, this is CJ. I just wanted to let you know that today I will be presenting at the Integrative Healthcare on healingourhealth.com. So if anyone's interested, at 2:30, you can go to healingourhealth.com and I'll be interviewed by the people there. See ya.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Mary. Just a programming announcement. In your Sojourner, I'm up next week and Emily's up the following. Flip it. Emily's going to be up next week and Shackleton will be on Memorial Day. And it's my very selfish reason for the flip is my sister is coming and I would like her to be here while I'm doing it.
Have the Sunday service topics on the website been updated?
Probably not.
Mary, would you stay and let tell us for a moment?
Judy, Senator Katie Muth has confirmed we are going to have her as a speaker here at 2 o'clock Sunday afternoon, June 5th. We're very happy. I need some help with this though. A couple things. If you guys, we're trying to have a nice large audience. You could invite your family and friends. That would be just wonderful. We're planning on having some food and I need help with that too. If anybody, okay, always that's awesome. If somebody afterwards, if you could see me, like if you could bring baked goods or appetizers or something, that would be great. And the other thing is that there is going to be a press release going out, but if anyone would like to write a letter to the editor in support of Senator Muth and her Senate Bill 872, which is about renewable energy in Pennsylvania, that would be great. You can see me afterwards. Thank you.
Good morning, I'm Miranda, and I have neglected this month so far to tell you what we're collecting for the cluster, Pottstown cluster, who help people who are need help with food and housing. This month we're collecting in our big basket in the foyer sponges.
Your doctor, if he's right.
Paper towels. Paper towels and sponges.
Somebody coming in from
Hi, okay. This is an announcement about next week. We are having a cleanup party Saturday. Okay? I don't care what the weather is. All right. So one thing we're going to do is plant that monarch garden. And thank you, Liz. Can you just stand up and just like clap for you donating, getting the plants for us, Carrie? So we're hoping that this all works out. And I just want to quickly thank Mary and Judy for hacking at that ground for 2 hours yesterday in the rain, getting it ready, and my husband John, of course, for getting the sand and doing all the heavy work and planting the native shrubs yesterday. So we're gonna hopefully plant the garden this Saturday, and any help, please, to put them in the garden and meeting. Thank you. 9 o'clock, 9 to 12.
And it won't rain.
No. Sunny day.
Not allowed.
Thank you all for your announcement. Our child sliding. Each of us a lamp. Each of us a spark. Each of us a cradle. Together we give life to each other, to our community, and to our world. Thank you, Mary. There's a spider here. Someone like to take him away?
Want to take it away?
Well, I don't especially want to live with him.
Oh my, he's a biggie.
Hold on,
Does
I'll
anybody
get
have
a
a
cup.
tissue?
I'll get a cup.
Okay.
You want them to go out there and get all those
See under here?
mosquitoes?
Who's under there?
Oh, well, I don't know if we're gonna be going in.
Seventh principle in action.
Is the chime so we're all calm about the spider?
With the striking of this bell, it is all transformed. Like wizardry, like magic, something like abracadabra, but without the rabbits. The transformation is almost upon us. Time measured by the hands of clocks is now changed into time measured by breath. In and out, in and out. The spider has
Take refuge somewhere here.
it's under a crack and is probably okay. So we will live with the spider. And Dave. Oh, no.
Okay.
People are watching. Dave will play our opening hymn, which is not what's in order of service.
Nobody can say we don't take the interconnected web of all existence seriously here.
Thank you. And now, we're having a time for all ages. And I really mean all ages. This is for everyone, for longtime members, new members, prospective members, those who are curious, adults, children, those here and now, those with us virtually. This is for you. Now you can interpret its meaning and see how it applies in your life, but the children are invited to come forward with any adults that want to stay with them and sit comfortably and then stay for the new member recognition. So do we have any children to come forward? Thank you. Come and get a rug and sit down. Great. Now, since I'm not visible here, I'm going to come down. I need a hand. This story comes from Laurel Hallman, who's the minister, or was then the minister of the First Unitarian Church in Dallas, Texas. There once was a dour, reclusive Scotsman who was not in church for many Sundays. Does anyone know what dour and reclusive means? I didn't think the kids would know. A grouchy, grumpy old guy who doesn't like to talk to anyone, and he didn't come to church. That happens sometimes. Not here, of course. Well, he had a Presbyterian pastor, and the pastor went to visit him in his humble cottage. And when the pastor knocked on the door, the Scotsman opened the door, and without a word, he motioned the pastor inside. Would you like a rug? Would you like a rug to sit on? You can come behind me and get it. Well, the man indicated a rocking chair, you can have a rug too, in front of the coal fire, and they both sat down. In silence, the two men sat, and they watched the burning coals of the fire. And after a long time, the pastor stood up, and he took the fire tongs, and he put one of the glowing coals to the side of the hearth. What do you suppose happened? Well, they watched that. Picked up the coal and put it to the side. What happened next? Yes, ma'am. Maybe his hand got burned. I think he had good tongs and it wasn't a problem. Welcome, welcome. Come have a seat. You can put your flowers on the altar. Aren't they beautiful? You can get a rug if you like and sit on the floor. Well, what happened to that coal was when it wasn't in the fire anymore, it got cold and ashy. And after a time, the pastor again stood up and he took the tongs and he picked up the dead coal and he moved it again into the fire. What do you suppose happened? Yes? It started to burn again. Yes, it was bright like the rest. And without saying a word, the pastor left. That's good to be a pastor without any words. The next week, that old Scotsman was in church, and he never missed a Sunday from that time forward. Now, the first moral of this story is obvious. Each soul, like each coal in the fireplace, needs a community to keep it alive. But it works the other way around as well, for the pastor represents a community that missed the Scotsman and felt deprived of his unique gifts. So we can also say each soul, like a coal, helps build the community that warms and sustains us. This second moral is equally important. Every soul needs its community, and equally every community needs the souls who sustain us. So, that is our lesson for today, but I would like you children to come and recognize our newest member. So if Linda and Miranda would come forward and bring your orders of service. And I will give you the microphone and I'll get out of the way.
Yeah, you can sit. So Monica, I guess we all do this, right?
Yes. Members of the congregation are invited.
So members of the congregation, we will read this together.
Okay.
We welcome
You to membership. We welcome your commitment to our shared ideals. We encourage you to participate fully in the life of the congregation. We extend to you our hands in friendship.
And Monica, you have a response.
I joined this congregation not to seek an escape from duty, nor a refuge from the struggle of this world, but to add my portion, great or small, to the common riches of humanity. I, like you, cherish the freedom of the liberal congregation to work out our own beliefs in an atmosphere of trust and challenge. Now I accept as well the responsibilities of membership and participation.
All right, so all of us together, including our new member, will read the UFP covenant. In the
pursuit of truth and in the spirit of justice, we unite in compassionate fellowship and service. With the UU principles as our guide, we covenant to uphold a nurturing community where all are welcome in the search for intellectual stimulation and spiritual nourishment. Presume good intentions, even in times of conflict, and go beyond tolerance to understanding. Consider carefully the potential results of our words and actions, behaving with kindness and respect towards others.
enrich our liberal religious community
By encouraging diversity among our members and exemplifying an open mind within the larger community. Cultivate the health of compassion
through shared ministry,
giving cheerfully to ourselves as we are able to the tasks we choose together. Support one another in all phases of life. Nurture growth and education of our children who are an integral part of our community. Have faith in our chosen leadership and be supportive of them in their efforts. Honor our collective space by respecting the sanctity of our building and grounds and the gifts contained within. That's a
Get all three of you and Cole. I'm sorry.
Maybe you could open the moment here.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, what?
Let's get on the same side.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. That's a beautiful picture.
Yeah, you did when you're
Hey, let me get this. Yeah,
I hope everybody in posterity enjoys it.
all right. Cheerful people.
Thanks to you,
Thank you.
welcome to our newest member. And now we invite the children and Kay to go outside and have a special project.
All right.
And I need someone to volunteer to go out and get them to bring them back in time for the flowers.
And I have my phone if you want to text me.
I can go.
Okay, Miranda, I'll try to figure out when that moment comes. Thank you to our substitute pianist today. Would the usher come forward for the basket? And I will use these words from Rebecca Parker to remind us that your gifts, whatever you discover them to be, can be used to bless or curse the world. Choose to bless the world. Our morning offering will be received.
Don't worry about it.
You know, every year when we have a flower ceremony, I worry that there won't be enough flowers. There always are, and in abundance. That's the way church works. What you have given in love is received with gratitude. May this congregation ever be worthy of your love. The meditation words are from an adaptation by Hafez. Back into herself, 1 billion times God has turned a human being into himself. You stand in line for the highest gift, for his generosity cannot end. But best to bring an instrument along while waiting in the cold desert, and make some dulcet sounds to accompany the palm swaying arms that are casting silhouettes against the sky's curtain from our fire. Remind the friend of your desire and great patience. 1 billion times God has turned a person back into herself. We all stand in line for the highest gift. Will you join with me in a moment of silent reflection, and then Dave will play hymn number 1. Amen. There are so many things that a congregation does, but one early Christian source makes a schema of 4, and they work for Unitarian Universalist congregations as well, with a little translation. Proclamation, kerygma. Searching for truth and meaning, sharing our stories, exploring the wisdom of the world. Service, diakonia. Justice making, blessing the world, caring for the poor and oppressed, looking after each other. Commonality, koinonia, how we are together, sharing food and activities, being a community. And liturgy, literally liturgia, the work of the people, although it was taken over mostly by professionals centuries ago, with some exceptions. Quakers, for instance, and our own valued worship assistants, and many lay people who preach. Liturgy is celebration, ritual, pageantry, worship, all of the ways in which we enact and embody and inspire the living of our values together. Liturgy and drama grew up together, from ancient Greek plays to medieval chancel drama. Liturgy, in one form or another, is as old as art, as ancient as humankind, as deeply embedded in our psyches as language. And today I would like to talk about liturgy and ritual in particular. Like everything else, liturgy can be used for good or ill. Art, science, technology, language, ritual, all of them. They leverage our power, but they do not automatically create good. Fire, they say, is a good servant but a bad master. And people have been burned, literally and figuratively, and many have been damaged beyond imagining by ritual. Female genital mutilation is a ritual, witch burning is a ritual, forced marriage is a ritual. I married a couple once in which the bride had been raised in an abusive cult, and she could not tolerate anything that seemed like ritual. Even the familiar rituals of the Christian sacraments have been used in harmful ways. So I should not have been surprised those many years ago, it was in the early 90s, I'd say, when a congregant complained, "We've had a chalice lighting 3 weeks in a row, it's nothing but an empty ritual." Empty was the best thing he could say about it. At least that was harmless. But of course, empty rituals are not necessarily harmless. Every mass shooting, every event of horrific racism, and I'm thinking of Buffalo this time, is followed by politicians thinking and speaking of their thoughts and prayers. Better for politicians to act on gun control and everyone to work to dismantle racism. The praying should be an impetus to blessing the world, not an empty gesture. Well, chalice lighting started out in religious education and moved eventually to adult services. There's our friend again. But I think that chalice lighting is good and useful ritual for us. Everywhere you go now, if you visit the UU Church, you are likely to see a chalice lighting, and know that you are welcome. All your hopes and sorrows, all your ideas, your virtues, your flaws, your deepest identity, whatever that may be, it's right there. You're welcome too, but you'll be happier outside. Amen. You never know what you're going to get into when you become the congregation's president. You are welcome. You are home. The meanings of the container and the flame always offer something for you to relate to, whatever is going on in your life or the life of the world. Whether you need the flame of truth or the warmth of community, the bowl of blessing or the cauldron of female power. Our symbol holds all of these. The history of the chalice rises from our embrace of human rights. And the very fact that the chalice has no one official meaning reminds us that we don't think we have it all figured out. That each person has the right and responsibility to be on a quest for truth and meaning. So ritual for me is an art form like dance or poetry or even pottery. We take the elements of the real world, crystallizing meaning from the big buzzing confusion all around us. We make a metaphor of those elements and then we shape it towards the world that we hope for. But for some generations, we UUs were very poor in ritual, at least theological rituals. Having for the most part moved beyond standard Christian theology, we threw out many of the celebrations as well. I grew up in a Unitarian church in the 50s that hardly recognized Christmas beyond having a Christmas tree on the platform. Notice they didn't call it a chancel. We wouldn't use that churchy word. But slowly we have developed our own rituals. The flower ceremony that we will celebrate later comes from a Czech Baptist minister who discovered Unitarianism while he was studying in this country in the early 20th century. And next year will be the 100th anniversary, something you may want to plan for. He became, while he was here, a Unitarian minister, and he helped to enrich our living tradition. It took generations for it to move to mainstream Unitarian Universalism. It started out like all good things with religious education. But now we can enjoy all the beauty and meaning and the many meanings of community and individuality. Later, Unitarian Universalist women created a water ritual to celebrate coming together at a specific gathering. And now we use it more generally to lift up the regathering at the start of the church year. And let me remind you that there is a little jar of water in the minister's office, and that is the water from all the years that we have been here. So there are molecules from every year, and just a little bit of bleach to keep it from getting yucky. More, the importance of and the threats to water for all of its human uses has heightened the meaning of the ritual as congregations have emphasized the human right to water in a world with unequal access to basic resources. And I'm thinking today of California reservoirs of various parts of the world, Flint, Michigan. We have recently completed a season of powerful ritual. Our Jewish friends have celebrated Passover, a holiday underscored by a ceremonial dinner, summarized by some as, they tried to kill us, they didn't succeed, let's eat. Actually, a lot of holidays can be summarized that way. Nowruz, the Persian New Year, is also all about food, and it was in late March. Easter and Mother's Day have their rituals of food and fun. Ramadan was a time of joyful discipline around food and other pleasures. Beltane, May Day, May 1st, and it's special to pagan UUs and Wiccans, both within and beyond our denomination. Beltane is a Celtic festival of spring, as the herds will return to the pastures after wintering in shelter. The cattle were passed between two fires, symbolizing the returning sun, which protects them. Not only the literal warmth of the sun that is celebrated, but the deeper heat of sexuality and hopes of fertility. In the traditional celebration, the god and goddess come together in love and union. The young people make marriages. The maypole is a rather obvious fertility symbol in itself. A riot of flowers, ribbons, wreaths, greenery further emphasize the celebration of life and fertility. We're 3 pages from the end. Perhaps you would like to tell the children. The earthy pagan ritual, which celebrates our very bodily existence, makes the May days of my college years seem a little tame. Now, I was a child of the 60s, and customs were at a low ebb then. School spirit seemed too establishment for those of us who were cool and rebellious by turn. So we had hoop rolling races. The winner was supposed to be the first to get married. There's that echo of Beltane. And we had a maypole and Morris dancing, songs and strawberries, a play in which St. George and the dragon hunt for a virgin to fight over. The spirit was there, but it was weak. The only fires were the ones that the Haverford boys might make trying to steal the maypole the night before. Now, in recent years, I hear that at Bryn Mawr there have been processions, really wonderful processions, with the college president riding in on a stallion. But even at its faintest, the May Day celebrations at Bryn Mawr, like a flaming chalice, help to solidify our identity and tie us to our roots. And Unitarian Universalists are particularly good at the great rituals that mark the human passages of birth, marriage, and death. We are not so concerned with doctrine, and so we focus on the person and the relationship of the person to the community. But in addition to our congregational and public life and our life passage rituals, we can create smaller rituals in our daily lives. Lighting the chalice at home, taking a moment to reflect on our gratitude for having plenty in a world in which so many are hungry, blessing the home we're leaving or moving into, tiny crystallizations of reality, remembering the goodness of life and equipping ourselves to nurture that goodness. Some years ago, I created a smaller, long-term, private ritual of blessing. In the fall of 1963, just a week after the Kennedy assassination, I received an engagement ring from my then fiancé, not Dave. Though in actual fact it came from a box in the attic and was a gift from my mother-in-law-to-be. I was honored to be entrusted with a sentimentally and financially valuable object. It was a 1.5-carat diamond in a Tiffany setting. Somewhere in the back of my mind, even as we were having it reset to fit me, I thought that someday I would pass it on to my first daughter-in-law with that same trust for the future of my then yet unimaginable grandchildren. Fast forward many years. The marriage is over, the ring is in a box in my closet, the children are thriving. When I realized that son David was serious about Carrie, a lovely Swarthmore classmate, I thought of that ring. One of these years he would be asking for it. But I felt bad about it because it was the symbol of a failed marriage. So I took it out of storage, I cleaned it up with jewelry cleaner, I put it on a chain around my neck, and for 6 months I carried it around and I put it into the hands of everyone that I met, from the supermarket clerk to a circle of interfaith clergy to classmates at Loyola and Wesley. I asked each person to bless the ring. I stopped counting after 100 blessings. That ring was kissed, it was crossed, it was prayed over, it was reikied, it was held, it was Buried in salt, it received whispers and silent good thoughts. Only one person at UU at a conference said, blessed? I don't believe in blessings. Everyone else blessed it. And it worked. When the time came to give the ring to David, I took it off the chain, cleaned it again, and put it in the nicest ring box I had. And I had no more bad feelings about that ring. Even today, I sometimes see it on my daughter-in-law's hand, and I think, oh, it's that ring, yes. Their marriage is thriving. The children are thriving. They're in their teens, one in college, the other in high school. Magic? Not if by magic you mean suspending the laws of nature, but wisdom, yes. The physical and metaphysical wisdom of taking a concrete, real-world action to encourage and nurture a change in feeling, to move towards a world of hope. Blessing, of course, is more than words and more than symbolic action. Etymologically, it comes from a word meaning blood, and it evokes consecration. But it is useful and also influenced by Latin benediction, to speak well, to make blissful. So when we bring ginger tea to a sick friend, it helps in the healing, both the ginger and the visit and the fact of the gift. We are speaking and doing and consecrating, all with the same action. So today we have engaged, or are about to engage, in two of our best rituals. Earlier we received Monica Buckley into official membership, and in a few minutes we will bless our flowers, symbols of our individual selves, and our individual selves come together in a great community. So the flowers of May Day, the fires of community, come together to shift and lift and shape and nurture our fellowship together. So may it be. Amen, shalom, salam, and blessed be. And now, the table of flowers is set before us. It is a welcome table for all. Let us celebrate the sharing of the flowers. Will you join with me? In a spirit of prayer, as we consecrate these most precious gifts, you will find words in the back of the hymnal, number 724. Does everyone have a hymnal? And welcome back to the children. These words are from the Reverend Chapek, who was in fact the person who invented this ritual, which with his wife, and almost 100 years ago. That's what I said. Am I not right?
Yes.
7:20.
Good. Infinite Spirit of life, will you join with me? We ask thy blessing on these thy messengers of fellowship and love. May they remind us amid diversities of knowledge and gifts to be one in desire and affection and devotion to good and beauty. May they also remind us of the value of comradeship, of doing and sharing with one another. May we cherish friendship as a most precious gift. May we not let awareness of another's talents discourage us or sully our relationships, but may we realize that whatever we can do, great or small, the efforts of all are needed. May we be strengthened by the knowledge that one Spirit, the Spirit of love, unites us, and may we endeavor together for a more joyful life for all. Amen. And having consecrated the flowers, here is a prayer from the late UU minister, Elizabeth Strong. Enter into the communion of flowers. Enter with joyful hearts, enter with reverent thought. It has taken long months below the cold ground for these flowers to prepare for blooming. It has taken each of us long times of growth through sorrow and joy to prepare for our living now. The blooming season is short, the flowers stay only a brief time. We are travelers upon the earth, travelers through all, to brief lifetimes. Therefore, let our moments be bountiful. Let us rejoice in our unique colors, aromas, sounds. Let us celebrate together in love. That as we travel away, we take with us the memory of golden hours among the flowers. And from the Reverend David Fungal, also late. Now as we prepare to leave this place in our time together, take one of these flowers. many. Take a different one than the flower you brought. Take it not to keep forever and ever. Nothing is forever. Take a flower as a symbol of gratitude for the beauty we did not create, of gratitude for blessings we do not deserve, of gratitude for joys which come when unexpected. Take a flower as a symbol of your participation in the community of this fellowship, of your participation in the community of humankind, of your participation in the community of all living things, of your participation in dedicated community. And if by chance you did not bring a flower, take one or several anyway. Take a flower as a symbol that beauty and grace and joy and love are not matters of reciprocity. In this world, we cannot earn or deserve that which is most important. It comes to us as a gift. Therefore, knowing how to receive is fully as important as knowing how to give. I begin the flower ritual by setting aside some flowers. And Miranda, would you give me a hand with this? In memory of those who have died since our last flower ritual. Take 3 out, one for Reed Bush, for Paul Daniel, for Becky Jones. And take another for the people who have died in so many places in the world. Of course, I'm thinking mostly of Buffalo today, but so many deaths, so many unnecessary deaths. So it's usually best to begin in the back so that we have less traffic and traffic jams. But I invite you, if you wish to participate, to come forward, take a flower, take several, and go back to your seats, and then Dave will play the closing hymn. Good. Methodism teaches us how to do these things. Welcome. You can have more than one because that's how church works. There's plenty around. Hey, Miranda.
Thank you for the bushes. I was one of the ones that planted them yesterday. The weather, Mother Nature cooperated with planting, not necessarily all my weekend. Yeah, I mean, as far as the follow yours. What time to go? When it the
Look at which flowers I got.
They're beautiful.
They color coordinated.
So we have them inside. Like 4 to 6 feet. Have that in there.
What is this?
Well, give us
together these folks.
Does everyone have one or more flowers? Okay, please play for us. And now will the chalice extinguisher extinguish the chalice, and we'll recite our words together for the order of service. We extinguish our chalice flame,
but not the light of wisdom, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts and in our hands until we are together again.
These words now from May Sarton. May we be always hopeful gardeners of the Spirit, who know that without darkness nothing comes to birth, as without light nothing flowers. First movie. Thank you. And now that we can turn the recording off, we will share our joys and sorrows. What is in our hearts and our minds. You can come forward and share a few words with us. And Rick, is there anyone on Zoom wishing to speak?
It looks like they're all good. No, there are still. CJ is on. Hang on, I'm stopping the recording.